Okay, so we're looking at some examples here where we're going to again compute the first few terms of the sequence, and then based on those values, we're going to ask the question, does it converge? So our first sequence here, we're say a sub n is equal to 1 minus 10 to the minus n. Or maybe you might prefer to rewrite it as 1 minus 1 over 10 to the n. Right, so let's start looking at the first few values of this sequence. So a sub 1 would be 1 minus 1 over 10. 1 minus 1/10 or 0.1 would give us the decimal 0.9 or 9/10. Okay, so that's A1. And then we just keep going and compute each of our values. A sub 2, that would be 1 minus 1 over 10 squared. 1 minus 1 over 100 would be 0.99. And then we keep going. A3, 1 minus 1 over 10 to the third would be 0.999. And then finally, A4, 1 minus 1 over 10 to the fourth would be 1 minus 1 over 10,000 would be 0.9999. And so it certainly looks like, as we go through each term, we're just adding a 9 onto the end of it. So eventually that's just going to be 0.9999999 on forever, which is actually just 1. Well, this is just getting closer and closer to 1. So we would say that it converges to 1. And again, we don't know that for sure yet, right? We don't know that for sure yet, so that's still kind of a little bit of a open question for us. We don't know that for sure yet, that it does converge to 1. But right now we're just basing it on what's it seem like. Later on we'll have a more definitive way of answering that question. All right, let's turn to our second example. Let's say we have b sub n is equal to minus 1 to the n over n plus 1. Okay, so you'll see this very often in sequences, where you'll have a minus 1 either raised to the nth power or to the n plus 1 power. And what that does is that when n is odd, minus 1 to an odd power will be negative. When n is even, minus 1 to an even power will be positive. So this puts in an alternating sign on our terms. So let's look at our terms and see if we can think, does it maybe converge or not? So b sub 1 would be minus 1 over 1 plus 1, so negative 1/2. B2 would be minus 1 to the second, which would make it positive, over 2 plus 1, which is 3. B3 will be minus 1 to the third, over 3 plus 1, which would be 4. Finally, B4 would be minus 1 to the fourth, which would be 1, and that would be over 4 plus 1, which would be 5. And we keep going with this. If you need to write out a few more terms to see the pattern and see what it might be going to, as we go to infinity, then certainly you can list out some extra terms. But this just keeps alternating positive, negative. Well, we keep dividing by bigger and bigger numbers. And as we keep dividing by bigger and bigger numbers, then this thing is going to converge to 0. This thing is going to converge to 0. Okay.